a lot of time to do this. It's not something that is easy to do, but I think it's so important for the future. So if you're growing several varieties, hand pollinate as soon as the flower is beginning to open. Use a cotton tip to gather the pollen from the anther and place on the stigma and bag it. Like I said, you're not bagging every flower. You're just bagging one flower, because one flower will turn, think about how many seeds are in a cucumber and how many plants you could get from one cucumber. So, and remove the bag after the fruit forms.
Question.
Yep.
Can you reuse the bags?
Absolutely.
Do you have to do anything to the bags before you
I would just wash them in yeah, I would wash them maybe in a vinegar or a mild dish soap. Nothing that would harm the plant. So that was a good question. So here you go. Here's the pollination bags, and Sustainable Seed Company has them. And you can see they actually over on the right hand side just bagged the female and the male parts, or the female parts. So they just bagged it in there so you can see when the fruit forms. So you don't have to look into the bags. So they just, I always put it over over the whole thing, but.
What's the purpose of the bag?
So any other pollinators don't.
Keeps it up, okay.
Right, so there's no cross-contamination. That's why you want to get it when the flower first opens. So you get in there with what you want to pollinate and nothing else can. So, and then you come down to actually harvesting the seeds. So then you have the bags on there, and then you get a squash or a cucumber and you want to harvest the seeds. Well, there's a couple ways of harvesting the seeds. First of all, you want to make sure that whether it's a cucumber, whether it's a pea, whatever it is, you want to keep it on the vine and let it mature. You want it as mature as possible, okay? So there's two different types of seeds. There's, hold on, did I miss something here?
You're going back.
Let's see. Yeah, that's it. Okay. There's two different types of seeds. There's wet seeds and there's dry seeds. Can anybody tell me what they think a wet seed is? What fruit a wet seed might come from?
Watermelon.
No. Tomato. Cucumber. You know how the cucumbers have the slimy stuff around them, and the tomatoes have the pulp around them? So wet seeds are tomatoes, dry seeds are peas. Squash is really a dry seed because you can let a squash go on the vine, let it mature, cut it open, and take those squash seeds out without having all of that pulp stuff. So wet seeds are your tomatoes. Let's see what I got here because I think I'm missing a slide. Wet seeds are easy to clean, though some need the additional step of fermentation, okay? And if I have some sources over here on how to do that, the fermentation part. You're going to allow the fruits to mature on the plants before harvesting. And then you're going to clean the wet seeds. So, and I don't think I really need to go in this. I have this written down for you. But this is a way of taking the seeds and getting them so when you store them, they have to be dry. Okay? They can't have any moisture content in them. When you think of leaving peas, I don't know if you grow peas, but you grow peas in the pod and they just kind of get old. You know, you don't get out there to pick them, they get old and they dry up. That's a perfect time to take those peas, and if the pod is dry, you take it out and dry them thoroughly. And we'll talk about, after the seeds are dry, they can be carefully removed from the glass or plate and final dry before storing in jars. One thing you, yep, go ahead.
Can you dry my parchment paper?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't see why not.
Okay.
Yep. Cool, not out in the sun. You don't want to dry them out in the sun. It's got to be in a cool place. Storing seed, never store seed in a humid warm or sunny spot. Store in a sealed jar in the freezer, refrigerator or root cellar. Most will last for several years, although they're plant specific. So when you're storing the seed, some seeds only going to last a year, some are going to last several years. You need to look that up. They're all plant specific, meaning a tomato is not going to be the same as a cucumber. It's not going to last the same.
Just curious, with so with things like wet seeds. So I mean, tomatoes just come to mind as like a classic wet one. So you clean off the seeds, and what's the best thing to dry them on, and about how long are we talking time wise for drying?
A couple of days.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple of days.
Okay.
I mean, it really depends. I have a great handout for you
Okay.
on how to dry how to harvest cucumbers, how to harvest tomatoes and stuff like that. So I have a great handout for you, and you guys can take that. It's just that it's so plant specific. Some of them you want to leave on the vine, some of them you want to take off at a certain time, some of them you want to wait till they absolutely fall on the ground. So it was just plant specific, so I didn't really get into that, so I made a handout for you. And I'm missing a slide with the dry seeds, but basically what it was for the dry seeds is, your peas, your squashes, taking those off the vine when they're ripe and just taking the seeds, laying them out and drying them. But I wanted to get to this. So the whole reason that we want to do this is not just because we want to do it, it's because we want to do it for our future. And if Robert Louis Stevenson says, don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds that you plant. So I'm not saying don't plant hybrids, and I'm not saying don't eat GMO foods. I'm just saying if you want to collect seeds, you need the open pollinated and the heirloom plant seeds. So if you're going to start this in February when all those seeds catalogs are coming out and you're all like, whoa, 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 this is what you're going to want to do. Your open pollinated and your heirloom plants. And it's not really that hard. Once you do it a season and collect those seeds, then you're going to do it every season and collect the seeds, and it's really not that hard. I may have made it sound very complicated, but, so, any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
So, if I read you right, soil conditions play no part in this, is that correct?
Soil conditions play no part in,
What you're proposing?
Well, soil conditions absolutely plays a part on how you're growing things, absolutely.
You understood that, but does that affect
The seed,
the seed at all?
I don't know, I don't think so. As long as it produces the seed, it doesn't affect this. I mean, unless you're putting chemicals in your seed, in your ground, it might affect the seed that way, but.
Well, in some soils, not all plants grow in the same type of soils,
Well, oh, I know that.
okay? So,
That's-
if
But
you're,
we're talking plants. We're talking seeds. We're not talking. I mean, do you want me to talk about
No,
how to
no,
grow
no.
the plant? I mean, composted soil is great.
but the right type of soil produces a much healthier plant
Mm-hmm.
than a poor soil.
Oh, absolutely. I
Does
totally
that
agree with
affect
that.
at all what you're proposing, as far as
the viability of the seed, or how well
The viability of the
Thank you.
seed.
Thank you very much.
Well, yeah, the better, the healthier your plants, absolutely, the better your seed is going to be. I would think,
But if you
yeah.
got stunted growth or poor performance out of the seed, is that going to affect seed saving? You're going to get a stunted plant as opposed to a
No.
healthy.
It will, no, if you take seed from a plant that's an open pollinated or an heirloom plant, and you take those seeds, it's not going to produce a stunted plant.
Okay.
No. No. Is that what your question was? And absolutely, you've got to have good soil. You've got to grow the most healthiest plants. And I could talk forever on that. So, you've got to have great soil. Any Any other questions?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just, I'm wondering if, like, you can ever just select a fruit, like a plant. I would love to, like, go through my garden and see, like, which plants, like, did the best, start to finish, through the growing season, and collect those seeds. But it sounds like that's too.
Well, you absolutely can. You can collect those seeds.
But I
You
just,
may not
but
get
just,
what you.
I just don't have any guarantees for what I'm gonna get, but I can, I mean, it's, you know, I mean, I realize that, but.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But for seed-saving purposes, to protect the seeds that we want to protect, we don't want to do that. I mean, you can do that for your own personal reasons, but to bring them to a seed library, that's something that you don't want to do. If you collect seeds from a, you know, from a tomato that's not a, that's a hybrid, and you bring them to the seed library, and you say, well, you know what, it's a hybrid, it's a, I don't know, it's a F1 something
Yeah,
hybrid.
it's sketchy and not helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not gonna get what, they're not gonna want those seeds. So the whole idea of seed saving is to preserve the seeds so we have a variety to eat. And yeah, and you're welcome to, you know, you could take them and experiment, see, you know, see what the seed, just like an apple tree. An apple tree, if you take an apple tree and you take a seed from an apple, you're not gonna get, if you take a Golden Delicious and you take that seed and you plant it in the ground, you ain't gonna get a Golden Delicious.
Right.
It's gonna revert back to whatever the mother plant was of that. So, you know, absolutely, you know, experiment. You know, it's hybrid seeds. I would, you know, if you have hybrids, I would experiment if you wanted to. GMOs, I wouldn't.
Right.
Go ahead, Matt.
Paula, how would you save something like potatoes?
Well, potatoes you would save a seed, and I think I have a handout on that. I don't know how to really save potato seeds because I always plant potatoes by the eyes, so, you know, so, and I think the handout says that, and it will tell you how. But you have to, I'm not sure if it's a perfect flower, if it's got to be cross-pollinated, that I don't know. But you'd have to know, and again, you know, again, not knowing specifically a potato needs to be cross-pollinated this way, know whether it has a perfect flower or a, you know, male and female flower, and, you know, Google that. Google it, you know, and it will tell you. Yep.
Do you know if there's any Monsanto or GMO farms in New Hampshire?
Oh, I'm sure there are. Oh,
But you don't know of any?
I don't
Just
know of
this
any.
one,
I don't know of any. No.
So they're putting cornfields.
Plenty of cornfields and corn, you know, and that's. And let me just see something here. Corn. I had a slide of the nutritional value of corn on here. Saving hooks it. Well, I guess I don't know what happened to that slide, but I guess there's been tests, and no matter what there's been tests, and a little while ago on Good Morning America, they said that GMOs, that the nutritional value in GMO vegetables are the same, organic are the same. And that's not true. Organic is proven to have better nutritional value, and obviously no chemicals in them. I love corn on the cob, but I have to stop and think about the corn that we're eating. They say that the corn that we're eating has more chemicals in it than nutritional value. So, you know, heirloom corn and, you know, open pollinated corn is probably the way to go. But then again, we don't know if it's gonna be contaminated. Like there's farms out there that say, you know, oh, my farm just got contaminated by the farm over there. You know, and then the whole crop is contaminated. So, you know, and we don't know. GMOs might be a perfectly good thing. I don't think so.
Well, I went up the Connecticut River, north of Hanover, up to Woodsville, and there are lots of cornfields up there.
Yeah.
And I was checking to see, they post a sign that tells what variety of seed they use.
Yep.
They seem to be all the same.
Yep.
It seems like everybody up there got together and decided on the same seed.
Yeah.
Or that's all that's available.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. There's not very many corn varieties that are available now.
Well, if you buy
Because-
from this company, it's cheaper, so everybody buys from the cheaper company.
Well, they'll look at the yield.
Yep, and you don't know. And that's why Johnny's and Fedco and High Mowing Seeds, they test their seeds to make sure that it hasn't been contaminated. So when it says OP on it, you're getting open pollinated. When it says heirloom, you're getting that. And they grow them organic. Not every seed company is organic. Now, Seeds of Change out of Vermont, okay? I don't know if you've heard of Seeds of Change. Great organic company. I used to order from them all the time. Guess who they're owned by? Yes! 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 So, yeah, and actually, if you just Google seed companies that are owned by Monsanto, there's a ton of them. 90% of the seed companies are owned by Monsanto. So not only, and you know what, and they sell heirlooms, and they sell open pollinated, and I'm not saying that they're contaminated or anything, but do I want to buy seeds that are owned by Monsanto?
You just never know what kind of sneaky stuff they're going to try to do anyways.
Yeah.
So if you know a person that owns an organic farm, that doesn't really mean anything, does it, that you get seeds from them?
No, it really doesn't. I belong to a CSA, because I don't have time to grow a
What is
vegetable garden.
CSA?
Community Supported Agriculture.
Okay.
So I just picked up my vegetables tonight. I get beautiful, wonderful vegetables. So looking at that list, I actually looked at that list today of the vegetables that I get, and she does use hybrids, okay? Hybrids doesn't matter that, you know, the only reason you don't want to collect seeds from hybrids is because they don't come true to seed. There's nothing wrong in eating them. She grows organic. So they can be hybrid, they can be organic, they can be hybrid organic. And I forget what your question was, because my short-term memory.
It was, if you got seeds from them, it doesn't prove it.
Right. You want to know what the variety is, and most farmers will tell you what the varieties is. She tells me what the varieties are. Like Zephyr Squash, I believe, is a open pollinated, and she grows it organic, so I would take that seed. Now, if she didn't grow it organic, if she didn't, and it was still an open pollinated plant, it would still come true to seed, even if she used chemicals on it, on the plant.
But if she, like, if you picked up, like, squash, like, even at, like, a farmer's market, like, you know, like, one night, like, you make dinner and you're like, this was the best, you know, fill-in blank, you know, whatever, and you want to save the seeds and try to grow it. If it was, like, pollinated by bees and it was next to other types of squash, could those seeds turn out to be a different plant?
It could be,
So-
absolutely.
It's not, I mean,
Right, absolutely.
oh, it's such a bummer.
Absolutely, so
I mean, that's the instant gratification
That's
But
why.
you know what?
agriculture
But-
showing up right now.
But you know what, and that's something that, you know, I guess if you were buying organic, local produce, really, does it matter? Take that seed and grow it, why not? In your
Yeah.
own, you know? As long as you know it was grown organically and it's not a GMO seed, which, you know, most farmers, if they're organic, they're not growing GMO seeds.
Would
So-
they save their seeds?
Would farmers save their
Organic
seeds?
farmers?
Organic,
A
yeah,
small local?
sure.
I wonder
Yeah.
if they, I'm lazy, I wonder if they sold me their seeds.
Ah, that's good. But you know what? Yeah.
Why not?
Why not? Why not ask them?
Okay.
Or that's
I gotta
why,
make a
I think
phone
that's
call.
why he wants to start a seed bank.
Uh-huh.
You know, what if you just took one plant, you know, in your vegetable garden and grew, like, you did tomatoes and you did the cucumbers and you did the squash, and then just one plant, and you save the seeds on one squash, and you bring them here. You know, a squash, how many seeds are produced in a squash? And you bring them to the seed bank. And then you could get the squash seeds that she grew. How awesome will that be? You're not spending any money. It's a seed library. Yep, go ahead.
Okay, so what percentage of your harvest do you save seeds from?
However you want, how many you want.
I mean, if you, all it would take is like 5 tomato flowers, theoretically,
Yep.
right? Or just like a couple of
Well,
squash.
think of a tomato, how many tomato seeds are in there?
Right.
Was there a
So-
possibility that if you cross-pollinated and bagged it, that fruit wouldn't for some reason develop? You'd maybe want to do one from.
Yeah, I would do a couple of different ones,
But
yeah.
from different plants in case something happened to that plant.
Yeah, yeah, you wanna, yeah, I would say, you
Like
know,
your little
right,
tomato
if you have
one.
real healthy plants, I don't see why it wouldn't work,
Yeah,
but, yeah.
No, but if
So-
your husband motor tills it for some reason.
there you go.
Yeah,
By mistake.
yeah. So- Yeah, so wouldn't that be an awesome thing? You wouldn't have to buy your seeds every year. They could come to the seed bank and get your seeds. Okay, so no money, no going online to do it, no money going out the door. You get your free seeds. I think you're gonna do them free, right?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, it's gonna be free. No emissions to transport those seeds, no emissions going into the air. I'm always thinking of that when I buy something. It's like, where did this come from? It's, you know, so do I have you guys on board? I don't think I have you on board though. I'm trying to get
Me?
No,
Maybe hand.
yeah, yeah. So if you did, yeah, right, but if you did, if you did two,
I don't even have a garden, so
Oh,
this year's
yeah.
a moot point.
yeah, so, you know, but wouldn't that be cool? I certainly would grow 2 plants and collect seeds and bring it to the seed garden.
I have
I
a
would
question for
definitely
Matt. Do you know that everybody that's saving your seeds are doing it the right way?
Well, we distributed information, but other than that, I don't know what we can really do besides
Right,
testing.
right.
I wouldn't know how you would.
right, and see,
About
that's why I focus this more on doing it yourself. Well, do it the right way of doing it, because if we get seeds into the seed bank that, you know, are hybrids or GMOs, then that really defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
Could they sign a little something or other saying, I certify this is, whatever?
Yeah,
And if they can't sign it, then you can put it out with the miscellaneous seeds.
right. Yeah.
Okay, one more seed question.
Okay.
Things like beets and radishes and carrots.
Yep.
Do those take like 2 seasons? I mean, will they
To
flower?
produce seeds?
Yeah.
I think carrots, I know parsley's a biennial, let me see.
Yeah.
Actually, let me hand these out to you. Oh, I wanted to show you too, there's a couple of seed books up here. The Seed Underground, A Growing Revolution to Save Seed. This is a real good book. I enjoyed it immensely. Seed Saving for Organic Gardeners. This is another good book. It's very simple. Probably something that you should, if people are gonna save seeds, this is a good book. Simple terms that they could understand.
Great.
And then of course NOFA, because I am an accredited organic land care professional through NOFA. This is organic seed production and saving. This is a little bit more detailed. And if you look for the organic, this is the organic land care, but if you're certified organic farmer, there are standards that you have to follow, and as a certified organic landscaper, I have to follow, and I cannot use GMO seeds. I can use hybrids because they're not detrimental to the environment, but, so this is how to harvest dry and wet seed. And then I do have just one list of varieties, and there's a lot of varieties that are open pollinated. I highlighted them with green, it's just one list. So if you want to check any varieties that you may have in mind to see if it is open pollinated. And what was your question again?
Oh, I have a new one. I don't really remember, the old one's gone. That was just a logistical thing. I mean, for things like herbs, so if you
Yeah.
only have like one type of, well, cilantro always starts to flower if if it gets hot. I mean, if you have just like one type of an herb flowering, like you might have like I have 3 different sage plants and 1 flower this year.
Yep.
Like I could feel comfortable that that wasn't cross-pollinated by anything
Yes,
else,
absolutely, yep, and you wanna make sure that it's not a hybrid if you're saving the seed
I
to.
was gonna
Right,
say, you
right,
don't know where
you
it
wanna
came
make sure
from
it's-
though, right?
Oh, yeah, and those.
What was that she said?
Like ages
You don't know
ago.
where it came from though,
Yeah.
because.
Right.
Because you weren't here in time to buy that plant.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
So, well, you guys got the gist of this, which is
But you
really
can
good.
save it and have your own sage plant,
That's
but you
true.
couldn't put it
But
in
you
the
can't put
library.
the library, yes.
So you
I
guys
don't have to have a
understand.
disclaimer. I'm a rotten seed saver.
So you start over again, you start next year with open pollinated and
Genetically
heirloom.
modified
Heirloom.
sage.
Hmm?
Genetically
Monsanto.
modified
I suppose, I mean, the only thing I worry about is when you buy like any random seeds, there's always like a little drive for the seeds to do well, so that you buy the same seeds again. I can't imagine it's that huge of a market to like the home gardener, but I don't know.
You know what, I'm gonna say like maybe 15, 20 years ago, I wouldn't worry about the cross-contamination, but now I worry about it. You know, so if you wanna grow basil or your sage plants and let them go to flower, start with an open pollinated or heirloom variety.
I can do it with my basil this year, guys. Just, I am getting a seed into this library. I will get a seed in this library.
See?
Well, we'll get you some tomato seeds here. I'll get you some tomato seeds. next year.
Brandywine tomato seeds and heirloom seed,
Oh.
real good. Yeah.
I have a question, if you have a greenhouse.
Yeah.
How do those plants get pollinated? Do the people-
There's, well, wind, movement, you walk by it.
Fans.
Yep, fans. Yeah, you'd be amazed. You'd be amazed. Just like insects, you know, like, oh, why do my plants have white flies? How did that get there? You know, on my shirt I had a white fly and they just go to the plant, you know? So I used to be a grower and we used to get, you know, complaints like, oh my God, my plants have white flies. Well, we didn't ship them with white flies, you know, they come in from somewhere. So, yeah, so pollination is the same thing. Bats pollinate, wind, all sorts of things pollinate. I also do a newsletter every month that comes the first, did you get my newsletter? I think I put you on there.
I don't recall seeing it, but I'll double check for it.
Yeah, and I do a newsletter, and it's not specifically to vegetable gardening and seed saving, but because I am a landscaper. But it is sustainable organic landscaping website, and I do have my Permaculture Design Certificate, and I am in the midst of moving to Maine and practicing permaculture, so I'm really excited about that.
Cool. I just checked out a book, well, and then I bought it because I renewed it like 4 times from the library and realized it was getting insane. But it's just like, I got totally into like getting a fall and winter garden ready this year.
Yeah.
Like how all my little sprouts going and ready to be planted.
For the fall.
But the author of the book lives in like Canada,
Yeah.
just north. of
I think
Maine.
we all forget that fall is a
Like
great
crazy
time to
in
plant
winter.
fall vegetables.
It's cool.
And I
There's,
think
like,
we're all just tired by
doing
that.
parsnips through the
But,
snow.
You know, doing
That's-
fall
That's
vegetables
like New
is,
Hampshire.
That's
you
what
know?
you wanna
That's
do.
the New
I'm
Hampshire
still trying to
spirit.
get the Oriental bittersweet out of my garden.
that's not, I can do a talk on invasives if you guys
The
want to learn how to identify invasives.
the stem was this big around going into my garden. 10
Yeah.
years I haven't tended in my garden.
Yeah.
With the stem of what?
If you go, if you go on my website too, if you go on my website, you go under garden talks, there's all of the talks that I give. I give talks on a variety of things, so you can always tell Matt that you want to have me back with one of those.
We want to have our
But
bathroom.
when do you move to Maine?
I am moving to Maine, but I have a condo, I just sold my house. I have a condo in Concord, and I will be running my business out of Concord, in the busy season, because I can't give up my business yet. So I'm moving to Maine January 1st, but I'll be here for the busy season, because my husband's retiring and I'm gonna need the money. So, yeah.
Well, good luck, and God bless.
Yeah, it's gonna be really good, really good. So you'd be interested in my permaculture design.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you sign up for my newsletter, I'll show you my permaculture design, what we're doing up in Maine.
Yeah.
We're living totally off the grid.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, totally off the grid. I'll have a root cellar, so I can put my seeds in the root cellar. We're capturing rainwater off the roof. We've already got our cisterns up there. We're having a greenhouse with chickens on the back of the greenhouse to heat the greenhouse. Gonna grow all our own food.
Except wine. Wine does not need to be grown.
Wine? Yeah, wine, yeah, dandelion wine. Did you have a question?
I wondered where in Maine you were going.
We have a house in Eastport, Maine, and we have, our property is in Pembroke, Maine, which is 12 miles from Eastport. We will be, hopefully, the plan is we'll be living off the land in Pembroke during the summer months, and then when it gets really extreme, we'll be at the house in Eastport. But my husband will say different. He will say that he'll be up at the farm year-round, and when it gets too cold, I'll be at the house. But I created a monster with my husband. He was not into this at all. Not into this at all. And then I got my Permaculture Design Certificate and designed and started throwing stuff at him. And so now I created a monster.
Good.
So sign up for the newsletter, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Paula.
Thank you.